in there. So, guys, thank you so much for jumping on board tonight. I know it's a Sunday night. Your time is precious, so we're going to be straight to the point as possible. My name's Brad. I'm based on the Sunshine Coast of Queensland, and I'm also here tonight with Nathan Davis on the Gold Coast, and Lillian on the Gold Coast, and also Daniel and Danielle Bissika also on the Sunshine Coast. So it's a bit of a Queensland affair tonight. But it's great to have all of these other people here from a ton of other places. So thank you guys for coming on board. So tonight we're going to be talking about two things mainly, which you would have seen on the image if you saw the image that was put up with one of the posts. Why filtering water isn't enough, and we're specifically going to be talking about the water that we all drink every single day called Kangen Water. So the five of us represent a Japanese company called Enagic, and they have products that produce water that's called Kangen Water. And we've been finding it to create some, to be able to do some pretty amazing things with people's health. The second thing we're also going to be talking about is the business of water, because all of us are also distributors for the company, which may or may not be for you, but at the same time, the water is something that we feel that everyone definitely needs to know about. So if you are watching this now and then you can't continue on with the call, I'm just going to briefly show you, I'm just going to share my screen. There is a website that you will be able to go to that is called the Kangen Cartel. So if you go here to Kangen Cartel with a K and .com, you'll be able to get one page that just discovers that it'll talk to you all about discovering Kangen water. And then the other one is specifically just about being a distributor and being part of the business. So please make sure that you take that down just in case you have to leave, but you'd like to be able to check it out a little bit deeper down the track. So what we're going to do first up is we're going to start up with Nathan Davis, because Nathan was he's the main reason why I decided to actually purchase a machine myself. So I'm a holistic health coach of close to 30 years now, and look, water filtration's been pretty important to me. But basically, once I got put in front of Nathan, who is a naturopath and has got a few degrees under his belt and is speaks my language. He's a very analytical, green type of guy as far as from a personality type. He just completely blew my mind with regards to why filtration just isn't enough anymore, and why the action of ionisation is just above and beyond just having a water filter. So Nathan, mate, thank you so much for your time tonight. I know you're always a busy guy. It's really great to be able to have you here tonight, to be able to ask some of the key questions that I feel that a lot of people are always asking about what it is that we've got our hands on. So mate, thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So look, we're going to get straight into it. We'll ask the very first question I think that a lot of people really have is, what is Kangen water? What would be the simplest way that you could explain that?
Simply, it's electrolyzed reduced water, which probably means nothing to anyone. But if you were to look that up on PubMed, it's essentially a water that contains high levels of a redox molecule called molecular hydrogen. And for anyone that looks up redox, they get pretty interested and keen, because redox is all about reducing oxidation. And as we age, we oxidize. As we're stressed, there's oxidation. So imagine if you had something on tap that contained a redox molecule, like molecular hydrogen, that could start to reduce that and quench it, basically cancel it out. So in summary, that's basically the main function of what the Kangen does.
That's awesome. So, and also for those of you that sort of want to know what the actual word means as well, it's a Japanese word that means return to origin. So it's another thing that really appealed to me, because I actually used to live in Japan years ago, and my business is called Primal Holistic Health. So primal and Kangen are sort of intertwined for me with regards to, getting back and doing things the way that nature intended them to be. So the next question that I then have is, why is Kangen water then superior to just filtering your water? What are some of the key elements of that?
Good question. I mean, when you've got a filter, it's, as the name implies, its job is to filter out things like ammonia, chlorine, chloramines, ammonium sulfate, fluoride, trihallomethanes, heavy metals, pesticides, hormones. And once it's done that, you've now got purified water. It doesn't really mean it's alive or it's going to be therapeutic. It's just like dead water, and it's got probably usually so much chlorine to make it safe in terms of no bacteria count for it to go through the pipes before it gets into a house, that you really should be filtering it and removing all the contaminants. But just looking at someone's health, I don't want them to be just okay and then just drinking this dead water that happens to be clean. I want it to have some sort of therapeutic effect. So that's where the ioniser comes in. And essentially it uses something called electrolysis. And it takes the nice filtered water that, whatever filter you've chosen has filtered, and it just takes it to the absolute next level. And so now, in my opinion, this is this therapeutic molecular hydrogen running around our body, quenching free radicals. I mean, guys, if you go to Molecular Hydrogen Institute, they have like over 2,000 scientific studies, 100 actual clinical studies suggesting that this stuff can benefit over 170 human and animal diseases. Even the Lillian School of Medicine did a big meta-analysis on all the different diseases, the top 10 that we face, and they found molecular hydrogen benefited 8 of the top 10. So this is what gets me really excited about taking filtered water to the next level and being able to use a machine that can make this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, I'll be talking about my experience with why I really jumped on board with this a lot in about 20 minutes or so once we've finished talking to the other guys. But I think it's such a huge point of difference, the whole talk and conversation around molecular hydrogen in particular. Like, it's amazing stuff to me. Like, I'm a bit of a craft beer snob. If any of you are out there like your beer and you're a craft beer snob, I think of this as being like craft water on tap, because you've got it at your sink, and it just creates water that's above and beyond what we can get in just general filtration. So for the next level, then sure, we get molecular hydrogen. We've got this water that has this amazing level of hydrogen in it. The next question I have then is that what are the benefits then to manipulating the pH? Because most of the machines that you can purchase, I think in Australia, there's about 7 different options that we have. One of them's a shower filter. The rest are all machines called level up machines. And you can manipulate the pH of these different waters to create, depending upon which way you look at it, like up to 7 different types of water. So why would you want to manipulate the pH of your water, Nath?
Well, the great thing about the machine, we all have there's a pH scale is based on something really acidic, meaning there's a lot of hydrogen ions, or really basic, also known as alkaline, the absent of hydrogen ions, and instead it's a hydroxide molecule. And this is what will change the pH scale. I mean, our blood is very rigid. It's like 7.35 to 7.45, and it doesn't really move much. But as a naturopath, I'm more looking at, so what is it that you can do to the body to give it a better protection against that fluctuation? I don't really want the body to be using up all of its resources trying to keep that balance. So it's like, what can you do on a daily basis that instead of putting more burden onto your body, you can take something that's going to assist it? And so being able to change the pH of the water means you can go from drinking, whether it be 8 up to 9.5 of the rich molecular hydrogen. And remind me to tell you the difference between alkaline and alkalized water to give you that distinction of the difference. But also you can create 2.5 water. And because the machine is one of the very few actually it's the only one that uses salt water, it uses salt water to make 2 substances, hydrochloric acid, God, I say this word every single day.
Chlorus.
Acid. And this is the substance that our neutrophils make to fight off bacteria, virus, and pathogens. And so we can make this in enough concentration, around 50 ppm, 50 parts per million, to be a sanitizer. So you can use this stuff on wooden chopping boards, you can wash your hands with it after the toilet, you can spray it on your skin. I've had patients that have had great success with hypochlorous acid on their eczema because it's killing some of the bacteria, the Staphylococcus aureus on the skin. And so the 2.5 can be used in numerous ways. And the other amazing substance that it makes is a highly alkalized electrolyzed reduced water with sodium hydroxide, basically an emulsifier. So when you're adding this water to a fat, it breaks it down, turns it into triglyceride, creates a saponin, and then it becomes a surfactant to break down fats. And so this is amazing, whether it be taking your makeup off, removing the pesticides that are in fat on your vegetables and produce. I soak all of the food that we buy in this stuff to remove, and the studies show up to 87% of pesticides. But then you can use it around the house in different capacities. So it'd be like replacing the cleaning chemicals and using it to clean ovens and things like that. Beauty water, which is a pH of 6. Our skin loves that pH of 6. That's sort of where it sits at. And so you can use this as an astringent, as a toner, before serums, before makeups, to make them absorb better and to help retain that perfect pH of the skin. It's great for plants. Plants uptake majority of their minerals of a pH between 5.8 to around 6.5. And so this is the best type of water for plants. And it's, for whatever reason, I can't explain this one, really good at cleaning wooden floors and tiled floors. And so it's just really amazing that one machine can do all these things. It's like an eco-friendly machine that happens to make, in my opinion, therapeutic water.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Like, if some of you have that are on this call here now have actually seen any of the videos that I've made in the last month since I actually put mine together and have been using it at home, like I've been, it's really blown me away actually. And I'll quickly show you guys where you can watch some of these short little 1 to 2 minute videos that I've made about what he's talking about, because it's pretty amazing. It's I'll just go to here. I'll share that there. So if you go to this page, the Discover Kangen Water one, if you scroll down, so here's the interview that I originally did with Nathan, and it's all time stamped as well because we talk about a lot of stuff. But if I go down to here where it says 100 uses for Kangen water, there's over 100 uses that you can use it. There's all these videos that I've been making. There's so many others. I just haven't had time to make them. But there's all these really cool ways that you can look at why this stuff is so damn important. And yeah, some of the other ones that I've just been making recently with regards to cleaning the house. I mean, I'm already saving a heap of money just on soap and cleaning products, and my wife's was it foaming cleanser that she uses for her makeup for her face. She doesn't use that anymore. She just uses 11.5 and 6. So there's all these really radical ways that you can use the water rather than just drinking it. So I think the last thing that I've got to ask you there, mate, before we move on to talk to Lillian, is I think a lot of people ask, they talk about the difference between alkaline versus alkalized. Would you be able to explain that, please?
Yeah, sure. So as I said, with the pH scale, anything above a 7, which is neutral, is considered alkaline. And different parts of our body maintain different pHs. And we really don't want to mess with that. So this is where it comes the important distinction that many people miss, including other practitioners. Alkaline water, they are not all the same. So you can get alkaline water, meaning the pH is above 7 up to the 14, by various methods. You might put a teaspoon of bicarb soda in that water, and it will shift it to a pH of about 8.1. You might find when you go to the supermarket and you get the alkaline water on the shelf and it's 9.5. They've put bicarb in there, plus a whole bunch of other minerals or chemicals, whatever they've decided to use, to artificially increase the pH, and now it has alkaline water. Our machine uses electricity. So the water is flowing over these platinum, titanium dipped medical grade probes, and the electricity is separating the molecules. And we're getting, on the hose that you're drinking the water from, we're getting hydroxide molecules. And that's the reason, if you look at the pH scale, that's the OH negative. That's what makes a pH color indicator, whether it be a strip or the drops, show up as alkaline. So when buying all these bicarb soda or alkaline bottles of water and you're testing them, that's why it shows as alkaline. Our machine, the only reason why it reads 9.5 is because it has these OH negative hydroxide molecules also. But the difference is they're not connected to anything. They're just by themselves. Whereas other substances, you've got sodium hydroxide and bicarb soda, which has a high buffering capacity. To give you an analogy of what that means, I did an experiment. I got 2 glasses of water, filled them up to the exact same amount. This is just tap water. Added equal amounts of pool hydrochloric acid, which is a pH of 2, similar to our stomach, which also contains hydrochloric acid. And then I added however many mil of the bicarb soda to it. And I had a pH probe in there showing it was 2, and it instantly jumped up to 8 with like the tiniest bit of bicarb. And then I got the 9.5 from the Kangen machine, the alkalized water. And even though the pH was higher, the pH went from 2.5 to 2.7. It barely made a dent. Now, what this means is, to get reading word from the publication from the, who's written it? The Molecular Hydrogen Institute, a lot of their researchers, they said that 1 teaspoon of baking soda in a liter of water will neutralize and be detrimental to stomach acid as much as 1,800 liters of 9.5 alkaline electrolyzed reduced water. And so that means having 1 teaspoon of bicarb does more damage to the stomach acid in terms of buffering it and lowering it and causing all those problems you're watching all the alkaline videos about, warning you not to drink this water. That's what they're talking about, but they fail to realize that the buffering capacity or the alkalinity is the key. How much of that alkaline substance will affect the stomach acid? And the Kangen water, obviously, if it takes 1,800 liters to have the same effect as 1 teaspoon, it virtually has no effect on the stomach acid. So this is why the 9.5 water from an ioniser has a low alkalinity and a low buffering capacity, and that's why it has no detrimental effect to stomach acid, which all the videos are talking about. Does that answer the question?
That's awesome. Yeah, that's perfect, mate. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. Yes, there's a lot of science behind all of this, guys. If you haven't yet realised, but just know that like the water is above and beyond filtration, and it ionizes the water. It allows you to manipulate pH, allows you to be able to have molecular hydrogen in the water, and it just allows you to do so many things with it around the house. It's sort of blowing me away. So, mate, look, thank you so much. I think they're the 4 most common questions a lot of people ask. So we're going to move on there now. Thanks for your time with that, mate. We're going to move on now to talk to Lillian, and Lillian is actually Nathan's mother, and they have a very interesting story as to why they're here. And I think it's just best for me just to pass it over to Lillian so that she can explain what actually happened. So I always love this story because I tell it like all the time. So Lillian, thank you so much for your time tonight. Tell us why did you decide to actually, first and foremost, buy several products from Enagic?
Thanks, Brad. It is a funny story. So I have been in business for over 25 years. I've been in various types of businesses, and I guess I've always been looking for something that I can really, get stuck into, that I enjoy, that's got a product I align with. Dan and Danielle and I knew each other from another company, and I was kind of at a bit of a crossroad. I wasn't quite sure. I was doing my parenting work, but I was still, looking for something else as well. And anyway, Dan and Danielle approached me about Enagic, and I knew about the product. I've actually got friends who had been trying to get me to buy one of these machines for years and years and years. And quite transparently, I thought it was just an overpriced, gimmicky thing initially, like a lot of people do, right? And anyway, so after speaking to Dan and Danielle and a few other people, I actually trusted them, of course, and I trusted the other people that I'd spoken to. So I decided to join the business, knowing that I was joining a business with an amazing product that I could align with and that I would feel good about promoting, because I don't know about you here, anyone listening in, but I will only join a business with a company or a product that I align with. And I did align with it. Most of the businesses that I've done over the years, except for one that Dan and Danny and I did together, which was travel, they've all been health related. So I came into this business, I was fully committed. I bought 4 products. Dan and Danielle will talk about the trifecta. I bought what we call a quad. I bought an extra machine, which Nathan ended up using in his clinic. And boy, did I get a lecture. Mom, you know, what have you done spending all this money? It's just a gimmick. How could you spend so much money? He thought it was on a filter. And I said, love, I've heard all these really great things about it. I've got friends who have been telling me about it for years. He goes, Mom, you bleep, bleep, bleep for spending so much money on this thing. And I'm like, well, I'm happy with it and I'm going to use it. You can use it or not. I really don't care. And I was happy with my decision. Now, little did I know that he was determined to prove me wrong. And over the next several months, he did, I don't know how many hours you did, Nathan, but would it be hundreds of hours of research? He did hundreds of hours of research to try and prove me wrong that I had bought a gimmicky product. And the more he started researching and actually debunking a lot of the negative stuff that was around, and when he really got in and researched the molecular hydrogen aspect of it, and then as we were using the product in our home and using it for all of these applications, and then as he was starting to see results, and the more research he did, I can't remember at what point, but he's like, Mom, I think you're onto something good here. And then from that point on, he became a huge advocate for it. So not only did he go, yes, good job, Mum, you made a great decision and a great investment, but he started recommending it to his patients and all of his, you know, business colleagues and friends, and particularly his patients who were dealing with chronic illness. And he started to get, you know, benefits from it himself. He could see all of the applications, you know, of using the product. And he was then very happy that I'd made that decision. But I did get a really hard time about it for quite a while because he thought it was just a gimmicky thing and he felt like it was a lot of money. And I know that is an objection that people have, you know, that it seems like a lot of money for a filter, but it's not a filter. It's a whole lot more than a filter, as Nathan has very, very briefly shared. So definitely check out all of Brad's videos because you'll see that there are so many applications. And I know in our home, I have become a water snob. I take my water everywhere. It's like I'm in a routine now. I pick up my keys, I pick up my water, whether it's a fancy restaurant or whether I'm going shopping, my water goes everywhere. So I probably in 5 years, I'll probably purchase 1 or 2 bottles of water when I've been to a concert or something and they haven't let me bring the water in. But otherwise it goes everywhere with me. So not only was it a good investment for our family and for our health and well-being, I love the fact that I can wash my veggies in it. I use it on my skin. I think my skin's looking awesome. I'm in my 60s and I just, you know, I use it on my skin so much and it's amazing. I use it to wash my hair in, you know, for my fruit and veggies, for cleaning. It's just amazing. But also I did quite transparently join for the business as well. So the company that Dan and Danielle and I were in prior, I got to a reasonably high level. Dan and myself were at the same level, which was fairly well up. And I think the biggest, you know, income that I derived in a month was around about $4,000 over a 4-year period in that company. And in my very first month of recommending this amazing product to my friends, I doubled that income in just my first month, the highest income that I'd made over 4 years. So for me, it's a real win-win. I've got myself an amazing product that I feel great using. I feel passionate about sharing with people because I know that I'm sharing something that is beneficial. And it's also, you know, for those people who want to do this to derive income and lifestyle, it's there for you. I know a lot of the people that I've sold machines to have purely just purchased a machine for the health and well-being of their family, and that's totally fine. So the business side of it's only going to be for a select few people, but if you are looking for something, this is definitely worth investigating for sure. So thank you, Nathan, for doing all of that research. And it probably ended up being a great thing, Brad, that he did that, because had he just gone, yeah, Mum's onto some other thing, you know, he wouldn't have gone to that trouble to really research it. But because he has that real analytical mind, in case you haven't picked that up yet. So because he was kind of determined, I guess, in some way to try and tell me that I'd made a mistake, and in so finding out that I'd actually made a great decision. So yeah, it worked out really well, but it was a funny story initially because he was not happy. But now he's probably one of the most respected voices on this water in Australia. Like, he knows the product so well.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
He certainly is. Yeah, no, and that was one of the biggest things for me as as someone myself as well who has a science degree, and all that sort of stuff really ticks the boxes for me. I'm so glad that Daniel and Danielle put me in contact with him to be able to go and interview him. I was just basically interviewing him to get some content to put on my own app and website called Primal 6. And then after I'd actually been did the whole interview with him, I was just like, oh, damn, I need one of these things. This is ridiculous. And the thing is that, I'm sure there's plenty of people that are on this call as well that have been hearing about Kangen Water or the company Enagic for like a long time. In fact, the very first time that I ever saw one of these machines and Dave's on the actual call, was at a mate named Dave's house. And I don't know what you said about it, Dave, but it was just, you didn't really say too much, but it was just like, it's an expensive water filter. That's what it was in my head. And so I had no interest in it whatsoever. But then, 14 years later, I just kept seeing Daniel and Danielle just continually talking about this water, but then also seeing how it had radically changed their lives in so many different ways, especially financially. So I'm really excited now to be able to introduce Daniel and Danielle, because I think that, they've been with this company, I think, for 4.5 to 5 years now. Is that correct, guys? Yeah.
Right.
And it's just been amazing to see how this landscaper and personal trainer have now completely changed their lives, are helping a ton of people. And now I'm part of that journey with them. So, guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. And can you tell us, what is it that, what was life like for you guys before you joined Enagic?
Yeah, so for us, it has changed our lives in a massive way. And, thank you, obviously, Nathan, for all the research that you've done, and Lillian for trusting us, to get started and, to get that, flow going. And then obviously, Brad for, putting this call together to get this information out. And that's what Danielle and I are about. We just want to share this information with more people, because we're really right into our health. Danielle's, a personal trainer back in the day, and I love my health. I came from, competing at a high level for the Surf Life Saving Club. And I was in my landscaping business and I was burnt out. I was getting to nearly 50 years old and I was looking for something. I was looking for something that I could replace my income in there, but also, get a lifestyle, get my health back, and create some financial freedom. Want to spend some more time with my children. So when we saw this business model, and it cost us around about $10,500 to get started with the 3 products here, we got the trifecta strategy. And so to me, that was a no-brainer compared to my landscaping business that cost me, up to $80,000 to $90,000 to get that business going. And it took a few years to get that return on investment. So Daniel and I, we got started here 5 years ago now. First 3 months, we made our return on investment. 10 months down the track, we hit the top rank in the company. The next year, we got to buy our dream home and dream cars. And 5 years down the track now, we've got the most incredible international team. Last month, we earn over $40,000, but we're helping so many people with their health, with an extra income, financial freedom, and all that kind of good stuff as well. So it's really been, an incredible journey over the last 5 years. Daniel and I get to spend some incredible time together now every day, and also spend that quality time with our family.
Yeah, and for sure. And being a personal trainer, I was always educated around nutrition, but never educated on water. I just assumed water was just the same, maybe filtered water was better or whatever. Bottled water was maybe better. But once I researched it, and I was blown away. I was like, even if we don't do the business side, I am so getting one of these machines. I don't want to drink tap water again. I don't want to drink bottled water again. I don't want to drink tank water again. Once you go into all the research, it is mind-blowing. So 10 months into this journey within Enagic, I was able to close my personal training business. I now do this full time, and thanks to the incredible money we've generated here, it has truly changed our life in a massive, massive way.
That is so cool. I'm excited for you guys. It's been amazing to see how it's changed over time because, a bunch of us that are on this call were all together in a travel-based company before representing them, and it's just been amazing to see the journey of everyone, really. So, but yeah, thank you guys for getting on. And like, what are you excited about the most for the future then, since you've joined Enagic and with regards to the health benefits of Kangen Water?
I think the biggest excitement for me is seeing our team winning big. We're having other people within our, personal team, hitting the top rank in the company, retiring their husbands, creating some financial freedom. Wednesday, we're off to Bali with all of our, leaders within the team. We're throwing on a beautiful, Bali retreat. And yeah, we just see more people really take their health seriously now. Create some incredible, income online where you can travel and do this business. And just meet some amazing people. So it's really looking, this is a 50-year-old company, but really we're just kind of warming up. The last 5 years, this thing has really taken off online.
Yeah, and for me, I'm excited to share this as well. Like with everyone should be drinking this water. Everyone needs to get aware of this water because tap water, like I said, isn't good for you. So it feels so good to know when you do sell a product that you're gifting someone this incredible product that will last like 25 years, that does so many amazing things for their health, for their home and for their children, family. It's absolutely incredible. So that feels so good for us.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And I think I'll share a little bit about my story there now as well, there, guys, to finish off the call. And then before we leave as well, we do have a pretty awesome offer that we want to be able to share with you guys for being on the call here tonight as well. So wait around for that. But just to give you a little bit of insight. So for myself, for those of you that don't know me, like I said, I'm a holistic health coach. It's just the easiest way to describe the different tool sets that I've got with what I do. One of the biggest things that really appealed to me with regards to finally buying a level luck machine, the K8, which is sort of the top of the line home unit that you can get, was molecular hydrogen. Molecular hydrogen is something that was introduced to me about 10 years ago in the form of a supplement. And what really happened, I'll just share my screen and I'll show you a little bit about what I'm talking about here so it'll make some sense. Where is it there? I've got that one. Share. Okay. So this is me getting my finger pricked. I'll just put here to put my blood under a microscope to do what's called live blood analysis. So you'll see here that this is my blood. And these are red blood cells, and they're not supposed to look like that. They're all stuck on top of each other in this formation called a rouleau formation. They're not looking healthy. They should all be separated. And what this doctor in Sydney did was he introduced me to a supplemental form of molecular hydrogen. I took the tablet, and in 2 minutes, you'll see it here in a sec, he got me to take that tablet there, which isn't available anymore in Australia. In 2 minutes, that's what it did to my blood. That is a white blood cell. They didn't exist in there before. I couldn't find one. And all of my blood cells are now moving around like ballistic, and they're all separated. So it really blew me away that I was just sort of like, okay, I don't want to live off these supplements for the rest of my life here, but like, how can I get this molecular hydrogen stuff? How can I put this more into my life? And what had happened is that, for all the people that have been talking to me about Kangen for so many years, no one mentioned that it had anything to do with molecular hydrogen until I met Nathan. And then when I met Nathan and he was, telling me all about it, I'm like, oh my God, seriously, someone should have told me about this a decade ago. I would have bought one way back then. And so the thing is that this is all part of the interview on the website that I mentioned before that you can check out. Now, the reason why that's super important to me, this is another video that's part of the interview that you'll be able to see there as well. There's some other distributors for Enagic there, and what they've done is he's drunk 2 glasses of Kangen water, and same thing, you'll see before and after. I won't go right into it here right now, but this is his blood beforehand being zoomed. It looks pretty terrible. It looks like what mine did beforehand. Okay, and I'll just scroll past. He has a couple of drinks, and then as you can see there on the right, it looks completely different. So why was that really important to me? Because the last few years, there's been a lot of circulatory system issues with people. And it's a pretty personal one for me because I've got some people that are pretty close to me that are having big challenges with blood cancer, blood clotting, and all of these sorts of things. And if molecular hydrogen can radically help their blood to move more freer and easier, just like you're seeing here like that, then I want a big part of it. Now, I'll just show you here quickly. This is an example of someone's blood. It's unrecognizable, but this is what a lot of people's blood is actually looking like under a microscope at the moment. It's pretty disgusting. And I'm very excited because that person that is very, very close to me, I'll just stop sharing here now, that's having some big problems with their blood is allowing me to be able to go and do this with them. So I'm going to video the whole thing and be able to get some experience in showing what might happen to their blood through drinking molecular hydrogen water. So that was the first reason why I decided to start drinking and using this water. The second thing is that I just kept seeing Daniel and Danielle building this absolutely mammoth business online. And it was just like, you know what, it's hard not to be jealous of that. I mean, you know, who doesn't want to be able to have money coming through that's just free flowing all of the time, and to be able to also have a business that's online that is just like, I mean, if you're not doing anything from a business perspective online now, to set yourself up to keep you safe for any particular instances that might happen again after what we've just experienced in the last few years, I think it's an important thing to be able to look outside the box with regards to business opportunities and stuff. So look, they are the two main reasons why I did that. And like I said, with regards to the website, you'll be able to get so much awesome information on that kangencartel.com website. So I think the last thing we really want to share here is is with regards to the offer that we have. So we have an offer for I'll let Lillian or Nathan explain it in full, but we have a pre-filter offer. Now, this is something I'll explain here now, at least before we get the other guys to talk about it. A pre-filter, a lot of people in Australia have a different Enagic machine, have what are called pre-filters that filter the water for fluoride before it actually goes into the machine. Why do we do that? Because fluoride, only 5 to 10% of the world actually fluoridate their water, which is not really that much. And Japan is actually one of those countries that does not fluoridate their water. Funnily enough, before I was studying holistic health, when I lived in Japan, I would actually send for fluoridated toothpaste from Australia to come to Japan, so I had fluoride toothpaste to actually use before I actually knew much about the dangers of fluoride. So bottom line is that there is a great filter that is actually in the machines that the Japanese company offer, but they don't get rid of fluoride. So the actual pre-filter that gets rid of fluoride is something that Nathan has created himself. Like I said, this guy's a naturopath. He's got a few degrees under his belt. He's a smart cookie, and he wants to be able to offer a pre-filter setup for people that actually make a purchase. I can't remember the full details, but is it Lillian or Nathan that's going to explain this in detail for us? Who's happy to do that?
Maybe Nathan should explain a little, just briefly, what the pre-filters do, Nathan, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
Yeah, sure. So basically, the pre-filter I designed because when you go and purchase a pre-filter for fluoride, most of them use alumina oxide, will only do about 2,000 litres. And the internal Kangen filter will do 6,000 litres. So I wanted one that matched it, rather than have to keep replacing pre-filters 3 times before the Kangen one ran out. And what I wanted to do at the same time was just up the ante, because everything I do, I research the ins and outs and have to improve it, make it better. I added KDF, which is like a combination of copper and zinc, and it extends the life of carbon-based filters by 30%. It adds in antimicrobial protection, and it also helps reduce a lot more of the contaminants than carbon can alone. And then I added activated carbon, but in the form of catalytic carbon, which is like the cream of the crop of the carbons, the best one out there for removing all contaminants. And then I like to add magnesium minerals on top, which give additional heavy metal protection, but also help the Kangen produce more molecular hydrogen potentially because of the increase in minerals. So I paired those two together. So someone is able to have, regardless if they've got like tank water or they're on town water because, if you think about it, you're capturing tank water. You've got water running on your roof, which is usually full of mold, and if it's ColourBond or any other tile, that is all going into the tank, which might be concrete, leaching chemicals in there, or a non-BPA free tank, and which is heated by the sun and a lot of xenoestrogens and microplastics going in the tank water. You want to filter all that stuff out. And then if you are on tap water from the town, you also want to remove fluoride water. And the people that have bore water, that has its own set of problems too with bacteria. So regardless of the type of water you've got, you really need to filter it, and then you're leading that amazing filtered water directly to the Kangen so it can then make that molecular hydrogen. And what I want to do for people, because I really want to make sure everyone at least has filtered water, we're going to offer the first 10 people that get that trifecta or quad, which can be explained later, the ability to have a free one of these pre-filters, along with a supplement that I've designed called Gut Healing Greens or the Adaptame mushroom extracts. And I'll pop the website in the chat from RecoverDapt, but that's around $500 of value that I want to give to people, because I know psychologically we always sit on the fence and need one extra deal to help us get over the fence and stop our conscious mind from getting in our way. So that's my offer to you, is for anyone on the fence to help make that decision. And I think, what was the date that we're going to offer that to?
20th of November.
20th of November? Perfect.
Right, Danielle?
Yeah.
All
So
right.
that is to do with the pre-filters, and that can basically go on top of your sink or below the sink, and then the Kangen connects to that. Last 6,000 litres, which is usually more than a year, depending on how big your family is and how much you drink.
Thanks, Nathan. And I think also Nathan was going to generously offer for anybody who buys just even one machine, one of his supplements, either the RecoverDapt greens or the adaptogens, to anybody. And if they buy a trifecta, the 3 products, which maybe Danny, you might like to very briefly explain, then they'll get the $420 pre-filter set as well, with the housing and everything included.
Yes, amazing. I can touch briefly on the Anespa. So as we know, our skin's our largest organ. So much gets absorbed into your skin when you are showering. They say approximately 30 to 90% of the substances are absorbed into your body while you're having a shower. So this Anespa unit simply attaches to your existing fittings, and it has a cartridge in there which contains different minerals and stones that basically supercharge what comes out of the tap and creates like a mineral water to bathe in. And this breaks the water molecules into smaller clusters to activate the water and change it into stimulated water. So it's like, there's also a mineral stone that's taken from a hot spring in Japan, and it gives the same warm, gentle effect as a relaxing hot spring bath. So it's pretty amazing. It's got a double filter of active charcoal and ceramic inner filter. And this cartridge purification system effectively removes almost 100% of the residue chlorine and bacteria. So yeah, it's pretty amazing, and your hair feels incredible. My skin, like, you do feel so good after showering this Anespa. You're muted, Brad.
You're muted, Brad.
Sorry, I did turn that off there. It's funny that, because I just put up a post tonight on my social media platform about the Anespa, because there's a guy that you'll see on there named Kangen Al, who we're aptly naming, and we did this pretty cool test where we looked at how much chlorine was actually going into his body every time he has a shower. So if you go to that section of the website where it says 100 uses of Kangen water, you'll be able to watch a little 90-second video on there, which is pretty cool. So, guys, I think we're done. We've been going for 45 minutes. There's been 50 people on the whole time, which has been fantastic. So I think what we'll do, unless there's anything else that anyone else needs to share, then I think we might say we'll call it a night. There will be a recording that we'll be able to share around, and I'll also put onto that website soon too. So is there anything else that D&D or Nathan or Lillian would like to share?
Nathan, I think I need you to publicly say I made a great choice 4.5.
Mum was right.
There was no bleeping, by the way. I just said, why did you spend all this money? But honestly, the strange thing, like you shouldn't place money on your health. We're here. You can't ever buy time back. And health is very expensive. Well, I work at a pretty prestigious medical clinic with doctors, chiros, we do IV, all sorts of stuff. And it's expensive when people get really sick. You want to spend the money before you get sick for your entire family. So if that's one thing that I've learned, just do never place a dollar value on your health.
100%. That's a great way to finish it off. Thanks, mate.
Nathan.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for all of your time, and thank you for everyone that's got on the call here tonight for a Sunday night here in Australia. Unless you're overseas and you're watching this, or you're elsewhere overseas, but it's really great to be able to have everyone on here that cares about their health and is wanting to sort of understand how they can take the next level just with water. I mean, I think the last thing that I'll finish on here is that the very first person, and she might be on here, but the very first customer, and she'll be okay with me sharing this because she's gone public with this everywhere. But the very first person that customer of mine that became my business partner as well, that started drinking Kangen water. Her experience was that she wasn't doing every 7 to 10 days on average, she was doing a number 2. So going to the toilet, doing a number 2. And she was using laxatives to be able to make that happen. As soon as she started drinking Kangen water, within 2 days, she started going to the toilet regularly again. And now she goes twice a day, every day. And she did detox pretty damn hard at the very beginning because, I mean, if you're that backed up for that long, what do you think is going to happen to your body? But with her also, the bottom of her feet was completely covered in eczema. We've got the photos for all that on the website as well. That's completely cleared up. And she also had insomnia. Now she sleeps through the night. Like it's just radical. That's just from drinking water. So, but not all water is created equal, as you've just learnt. So thank you, everyone, for coming on here tonight. And thank you, everyone that's been on here the call speaking tonight as well. Appreciate all your time. And yeah, we'll see you on another call in the future. Thanks, guys. Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank you so much, Brad.
See you guys.
Awesome.